Biobi Fun series where we're going to have tons of fun. So what are we going to talk about today?
Today's all about Debbie.
All about me.
So Debbie is my sister-in-law. Okay. She's visiting from Toronto. So she's going to be on a bunch of these different podcasts. We just want to introduce her a bit.
Okay.
So tell us about yourself.
Okay, so a little bit about myself. So I'm Debbie. As he said, we're related because he's now my brother-in-law. So I came from Jamaica. So I immigrated to Canada when I was around 9 years old. My parents had a business there. We came here, and since then we've stayed here forever. So a little about myself. I'm actually an ICU nurse in Toronto. So we're just talking about, how I got into nursing. So yeah, when I was younger, I've always wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. So that was that was my dream. I was doing co-op in kindergarten classes. Everything I've done was towards doing kindergarten teacher. But then one day I went camping with a family friend. And I never knew what she did because she was just a cool aunt to me. And then she said, "Hey, Debbie, why don't you try pediatric nursing?" And I said, "Nursing? I've never thought to do nursing. I've always just wanted to be a teacher and have fun with kids." And then one day she says, just try, Debbie. And I thought, okay, I just wanted to work with kids, doesn't matter how. And I thought, whoa, if I work in pediatric nursing, I can actually help kids.
So what did she say that made you change your mind?
She said, "Hey, Debbie, you should try nursing because, nursing opens so many doors for you." And then I thought, okay, back in the day, I actually was worried about not being able to get a job. So I was like, grade 12's coming, just apply for teacher college and you can apply for nursing. If I get into one, I get into one. And then, we'll see what happens.
Okay, and so in high school, were you really keener and set on grades, stuff like that you're going to get?
Actually, when I was in high school, my grades were mediocre, not going to lie. I worked a little bit, but not overly hard, which I should have. So, yeah. So I think I got pretty lucky.
Had fun. You had lots of fun.
I had lots of fun in school. I loved high school. So
it was no regret. A lot of people...
No regrets.
My high school was okay, but it wasn't tons and tons of fun because I was trying to get into med school and stuff.
Yeah.
But you would say your high school was a very positive experience.
Oh, positive. When I was in high school, I didn't have a goal of, wanting to go to nursing school. So by the time my aunt told me about this dream, I thought, ooh, maybe I should try maybe just a little harder.
Last minute, you just slipped in there.
Yeah, so then towards the last year, now I have an idea that I want to do teachers or nursing. I switched a little bit of my goal, so I did a little bit more science and an extra math just for the prereqs to get into nursing school.
That's what happened? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
You were just skipping along and then you stumbled in?
So I cheerfully tried a little harder in grade 12. I probably could have done a little better, but everything worked out. I'm a nurse now, so no regrets.
Okay. Well, no, I think good things happen to good people.
Yeah.
There's a bit of truth to what comes around goes around.
Yeah, so I think if you work hard and follow your dreams, I do think it can happen. So I didn't give up. I tried a little harder in grade 12 because I wanted to make the grades to maybe get in. Truthfully, I was pretty lucky to get into nursing school. My average wasn't the best. It was 76 that I got into nursing school. And I actually went to a school further from Toronto. So I went to school at Nipissing University, which is maybe 3.5 hours away from where I live. Whereas when I lived in Toronto, there were maybe 5 schools right there. I was on the waiting list for some of them in Toronto, but I got into Nipissing and I thought, you know what? Let me just nip it in the butt. I'm going to go to Nipissing because I'm guaranteed if I accept that offer, I'm in. So that's what I did.
So that's crazy. So you actually just took the offer, canceled everything else.
Yes.
Next to your family, next to your friends, everything.
Yes. And I thought my mindset going to nursing school is okay, fine. I might be a little further from home, but if I work hard, no distraction, I'm just going to finish.
Because you're out in the middle of nowhere.
So now I'm in the middle of nowhere. I did come home on the weekends to see my friends and family, but being in a smaller town opens more doors. Less distraction, so I don't want to party every day, even though people in university parties, but I was I'm so far from home, I can't fail. So that was my mindset. So I worked really hard and I did better in university than I did in high school, even though university was harder. So
it's kind of cool, because how old are you at the time? 18, 19 years old?
I was 18 years old when I got into nursing school because my birthday's on the earlier side.
Because there's stories of generals and famous admirals and stuff in the past that would burn all their boats, burn the bridges just so they had to. That's kind of what you did.
Yeah. So, just had a goal. I just went for it. And nothing stopped me. So then, yeah.
And then how did that plan turn out?
Nursing school was amazing. Being in a smaller nursing school, it actually opened more doors for me. I had friends who went to nursing school in Toronto. And because there's so many students, there wasn't enough places to place these students. Whereas I was in nursing school in North Bay in the middle of nowhere. So we got to have training in every unit to learn. And then actually for my last year consolidation, I actually worked here with Dr. Obayashi in a small rural town. If I was in Toronto, I probably would have never had all these opportunities because I had friends who, your last year of nursing school, you want to work in a hospital where you could get more experience. Whereas some of my friends were getting, no offense to the doctors, but they're working at doctor clinic. Whereas when they graduated, when you look at their resume, it's like, oh, you don't really have that much experience. Whereas when I did it, I went to a small rural town to work with Jeff and I saw so many things. I actually worked in the summer and graduated half a semester early. So most people do 4 years in nursing school. I did 3.5. But my mindset was, I gotta get out of this small town. And ooh, if I do this, when I graduate, I'm not fighting with everyone else for a job.
So did you plan all this? Like, me looking back, I'm like, it kind of worked out perfectly. Did you know this was going to happen that way, or just one step at a time?
One step at a time. Okay. So every year I just worked hard. In my third year, I actually applied to do abroad nursing. I actually got in. It was supposed to be Sweden, but then I saw that our school, so North Bay at that time, had the first year where they want to try to see if anyone wanted to do a program in the summer to graduate earlier. And I said, ooh, do I want to have fun in Sweden and do nursing there or graduate early and actually get a job? So I gave up on that dream at the time to, just finish school earlier than everyone else and get a job.
Okay. And then, so where did you work coming up?
So because I did that, I'm not competing with the whole world to get the same job. Ontario, we have something called the New Grad Initiative where nurses, when they finish schooling, they can apply to hospitals and the government will pay you for the few months to be mentored by a nurse and then they guarantee you a job. So I had a few opportunities. Again, I like to go new places. So I applied for a whole bunch of places. So there's a lot of hospitals close to my house. Or I also applied for other places, maybe an hour, 2 hours away, just to see if I get into one of them. So my first interview was in a place called Waterloo. It's an hour and a half from my house. And that was the first interview. I had 4 other interviews lined up the following week. I did the interview in Waterloo. And then I think at the end of it or the next day, they called, hey, do you want the job? And at the time, my mom said, you could probably wait and see the others. And I said, no, let me just go to Waterloo. I went to North Bay, did great. Let me go to Waterloo. I guaranteed a job at this point.
Just wait, did you interview the other 3 places?
I did not.
Oh my God, you're like burning bridges everywhere.
No, but best thing ever. I made such good nursing friends. They're still my friends up to this day. Because of that, I met another friend from Waterloo Hospital where we actually went travel nursing in Australia. So I think if I didn't do the things I did the way I did, I'd probably be still in Toronto doing, not travel nursing.
Okay, do you say that because you're stuck what's comfortable? That kind of thing?
I think I'd be stuck being comfortable. Whereas when I went to Waterloo, I had to learn to make new friends. I had to learn to be more independent. And at this point, I'm so open in making new friends and trying new things. I thought that made me more open to trying.
Okay, could you cook before you moved out of your house?
I cooked in university, but I think in Waterloo, I'm more of an adult now. I could drive. I thought
Debbie can cook. Even like now, Debbie can cook. She's a really good cook.
Oh, my mom's a good cook, so I learned. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in Australia. Maybe what's an interesting or cool story of you in Australia?
So I went to...
you're working.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So I did travel nursing in Australia. And the cool thing I thought I did was, for the year I was there, I was there for 11 months. So I worked 5 months and traveled 6. So I would work... So me and my friend, we would work very hard for a month and a half. And then we take a month and a half to travel. We bought a car together and then we just honored a month off. We would just drive to a different state and then we go camping. We actually did a lot of car camping. We met a lot of new people. So it's really cool because Australia, there's a little app, you could actually go camping in the middle of nowhere. And that's what we did.
So just for free, no cost.
For free. So we just lived in a car. And then there are little outhouses here and there. So, we made it work.
So you're like hoboing it, just cheap university kind of travel.
I thought we were being, I wouldn't call it hoboing. I thought it's actually called backpacking.
Oh, okay.
And it was great because we had the funding from working hard as nurses in Australia. And then on our time off, we would travel. And when we travel on our days off, we met a lot of backpackers. And sometimes they're all nurses too. There's so many nurses travel nursing in Australia.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I did good because I did kind of a similar thing in Thailand where I was working Chinese fast food. So I didn't have that much money to get through university. And then I would stay in like $9 motels in Thailand, but You won't one up me with the free.
Yeah, so we I came home with money saved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
so
that's huge.
Yeah, it was great.
Especially at that age, you're like 25. Not even.
Yeah. So I worked in Waterloo. I worked for 3.5 years before I went to do Australia travel nursing, which, you know, you do need experience to do travel nursing because, you know, there's lives. The hospital wants you to know that you know what you're doing. So it was good when we went over. And then after a year, I came back to the same hospital because luckily the hospital I worked at gave me a leave of absence. So when I came back, I still had my full-time job. Mm-hmm. And then I came back, worked for maybe a few months, and there was one night shift. I thought, hey, let's see if there's any job in Toronto. Maybe it's time to come back home. So I was looking online, and luckily I went to Sunnybrook website, and it said, you could become an ICU nurse, and they give you 4 months of learning. So I went to a college where they train you to be ICU nurses and guarantee you a job.
So you don't pay for that course?
No, so for 4 months I was in school, I got paid full-time, full-time wages, plus I got to learn new things. So now I'm in Sunnybrook Trauma ICU. I'm still there, and I love it. So I think, another door opened for me, and I just jumped the gun.
So, but we just moved country, out of Australia, back home.
Yeah, and truthfully, I wasn't sure if I should do it, but I was talking to my friend, but she says, Debbie, when you look at a world, there are people there's a 90% of people that will always say no, but the 10% that will always say yes and jump to do things. So she told me, hey, Debbie, you should be the 10%. And
Who was that person?
One of my nursing buddies. I'm still good friends with her. And up to this day, she always says, Debbie, you were the 10% that followed her dream.
That's good.
Yeah, so I did like that. So I went to Sunnybrook, got trained. I worked there for 3 years during COVID time. And my dream since nursing school was, hey, I want to do travel nursing. But COVID happened. So then when COVID was it's still here, but, better that we're not being isolated, I told my manager, hey, my dream was to always be a travel nurse. Mm-hmm. And, she said, okay, Debbie, we'll talk to HRC if you can take a leave of absence. And I said, I just need like 3 months off, just anything to do. And then she came like, hey, Debbie, we can give you leave of absence. And I said, well, if that's the case, can I take a year off?
Okay, yeah.
And then she's like, yes, that's possible. So I took a year off, and I actually did travel nursing in Newfoundland, where I worked in Emerge in the middle of nowhere called Grand Prairie, which I love. I don't have Emerge experience, but during COVID and after COVID, nursing was very, everyone needed nurses.
So crazy at that time.
Everyone needed nurses. Yeah. So I said, hey, when I was in Waterloo, I worked in like many different units. I worked in ICU trauma. So I said, I don't have Emerge experience, but I'm willing to learn. They said, come on over, we'll teach you. So I did that for 2.5 months. And then once I'm done that, I took a month off, visit my family.
Okay, that's cool. And so did you find ICU to Emerge was an okay transition? Because you're looking after like basically 1-to-1.
Yeah.
Super sick people, intubated and stuff, to like a whole, like all these different people, needle in a haystack scenario. So very different jobs.
Oh, yeah. So truthfully, I didn't think it was too hard. I think it just depends on your personality. So when you look at ICU nurses, there's a lot of type A personality. People say I am. I always think I'm type B, like a butterfly. But I think what it is I'm okay with chaos. So if you can handle chaos, you can handle Emerge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no, I think it's a unique person that can do both.
Yeah. So I did both, and I enjoyed it. I went to Newfoundland as an ICU nurse, but then I said, hey, if you need anyone for Emerge, I now have Emerge training. And they said, yes, we want you for both. So then I did that, and I actually went back 3 times for a contract because I worked in a very small rural hospital, and it was amazing. The staff was amazing. Everyone's so thankful. Even the people there were so thankful just to have nurses, because in Newfoundland, there's a lot of rural hospital that actually has to close down for, let's say, a weekend or a week because there were no nurses or doctors. So, it was great. I loved it. And then after I did that, I came back and went back to Sunnybrook. So, I still have the job that I love, and I got to try everything else too.
That's pretty cool. What's cool is that Sunnybrook was actually okay with you going here and there and then coming back.
Yeah, actually,
they didn't shun you.
They didn't. I actually did the year. I took the year off, and then I actually quit for a year because I wanted to do more travel nursing. It was just, that has always been my dream. And then after that, I told them, hey, if you're willing, I'm willing to come back if you guys need nurses. And they said, hey, we'll take you back. And I said,
So you still knew some people that were still there?
Well, no.
The manager's different.
The manager was different, but I told them, hey, I worked there for 3 years. I wanted to travel nursing. But, if an opportunity ever comes back and you need nurses, I'm willing to come back. I was pretty set. It was Sunnybrook Trauma ICU or nothing, or I'd go for a different job. And they said, at this point, hey, come on back. We're still hiring. Nurses are in such high demand everywhere. So they're like, yeah, we'll take you back. So I said, that's great. So now I'm back in Sunnybrook and I still love my job.
No, that's a great story.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Very kind of serpiginous or not a straight path into trauma ICU nursing.
But
here, there, everywhere, and it worked out in the end. So that's great.
So it's just, I had a dream. I followed it. There are little things that might hold you back, but, just go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's Debbie in a nutshell, how she became an ICU nurse.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And so I guess to bring it to today, what do you do now?
So I've been nursing for 11 years now. And then when Jeff told me about this program he was doing, I thought, hey, maybe I should join Biobi Health, because after 11 years, I see a lot of things. People get very sick. I want to be healthy myself because now I have a little baby boy and I just want to educate myself, educate people, and, just learn about how to be healthy now.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds good. No, I think that was a good episode. I just felt that Debbie's so bubbly and fun and energetic. She'd fit in with my company really well. They say they shouldn't mix family and business.
It's okay.
But Debbie, I'm very happy to have Debbie on the team. We are really hoping to share some of our knowledge with everybody, and she'll be on future episodes. Yeah. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.